The sound of metal hitting the ground echoed through the quiet hospital corridor. A tray, full of teacups, had slipped from Aisha's trembling hands. She stood frozen, her eyes locked on the scene unfolding in front of her. 3 men in suits, one holding a stack of papers, standing over the frail old man she had been caring for every day. "Sir, please sign here," one of them said coldly, sliding a document across the bedside table. Aisha's heart pounded. She had never seen Mr. Rahman so silent, so small beneath the white hospital sheets. The old man's eyes flickered. Confusion, sadness, and something deeper, like the weight of betrayal. Before I tell you what happened next, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Tell me where you're watching from. Every morning for the past 6 months, Aisha had arrived at the hospital before sunrise. She wasn't a nurse, nor family. Just a cleaning lady who had found a quiet friendship in the lonely old man in room 307. He would wait for her, always awake before her shift started. Sometimes he'd smile weakly and say, "You remind me of my daughter. She used to bring me tea just like this." She never asked about his daughter. Some wounds, she knew, should stay unspoken. She'd bring him breakfast, adjust his blanket, and tell him small stories about the birds outside the window, the hospital cat that always stole bread from the kitchen. Little things that made him smile. But today was different. The air felt heavy, as if the sunlight had refused to enter his room. The 3 men who stood before him were strangers to Aisha, but she could tell one thing. They carried power. The youngest among them stepped forward. His tone was sharp. "Grandfather, this is the property transfer. Just sign here. We need to finalize it before the end of the week." Aisha froze. Grandfather? So this was the grandson he'd mentioned once, the one who hadn't visited in years, the one who never called. Mr. Rahman's lips quivered. I don't understand these papers. Why so suddenly?" The young man sighed, glancing at his watch. "Because it's time, Dada. You can't handle these matters anymore. I'll take care of everything." Aisha felt something rise inside her. Anger, maybe, or grief. She watched the old man struggle to hold the pen. His hands trembled. When the pen slipped, Aisha instinctively stepped forward to steady it. "He's weak," she whispered softly. "At least let him read." The young man turned to her, his eyes narrowed. "Who are you to speak here? You're just the help." The words hit her like a slap. She lowered her gaze, her fingers curling around the edge of the bedsheet. Rahman looked at her, shame clouding his eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered, but she only smiled faintly. "You don't have to be." The men left after a while, frustrated that he wouldn't sign. They said they'd return with witnesses tomorrow. That evening, the hospital corridor glowed with the soft orange of sunset. Aisha sat by his bed, silent. The air smelled faintly of antiseptic and tea. "I have nothing left," Mr. Rahman murmured. "My own blood treats me like a burden." She shook her head. "You have dignity, sir. That's more than wealth." He smiled sadly. "And you have kindness. It's rare these days." The next morning, the men returned, this time with 2 strangers and a notary. The grandson's expression was colder than ever. "Let's make this simple," he said. "Sign, and we'll handle everything else." But this time, Mr. Rahman didn't reach for the pen. He looked straight at his grandson and said quietly, "I will sign something else instead." He motioned for Aisha to open the drawer. Inside was a folded envelope already sealed. "Take this," he told the grandson. "It's my decision." The young man frowned but took the paper. When he opened it, his face drained of color. It wasn't a property transfer. It was a will. Signed, dated, and notarized weeks ago. The grandson's voice shook. You gave everything away?" Mr. Rahman nodded slowly. "To the hospital, to charity, to people who cared when family didn't." The silence in the room was deafening. The men exchanged glances, speechless, and then almost in disbelief the old man added, "But I left one thing for you." He turned his fragile hand toward Aisha and said, "Her. Remember her face, the one who stood by me when you didn't. That's your inheritance." A lesson you may never buy. The grandson's jaw tightened. For a moment he looked like he might say something, but instead he turned away and walked out. The door clicked softly behind him. Mr. Rahman leaned back, exhausted but peaceful. "You did well," Aisha whispered. He smiled faintly. "Sometimes the poorest hearts are the richest souls." That evening, the hospital corridors were quiet again. Aisha watched as the sunset poured gold over the windows, soft and warm, like forgiveness. When she returned to room 307, the bed was empty. The old man had passed away in his sleep, a gentle smile on his face. There was a note on the bedside table. In his shaky handwriting it read, "Thank you for reminding me what kindness feels like. You gave me back my dignity. Keep giving it to others." Tears blurred her vision. She folded the note carefully and placed it in her apron. Outside, the world carried on. Footsteps, voices, life. But in that moment, Aisha knew something eternal had changed. Before we end, if this story moved you, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Tell me where you're watching from. Because sometimes, kindness doesn't ask for reward. It just leaves behind light, quiet, unseen, but forever remembered. Kindness may not make you rich, but it will make you remembered. And that is the greatest inheritance of all. If this story touched your heart, like, comment, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to Kindness Valley for more untold stories.